What's going on, everybody? I'm back here for our first show of the new year. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy 2025. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been chatting. So I feel very weird. I have no co-host for this, but this isn't really a full podcast anyway. This was an interview that many people reached out and requested for me to do. So yeah, you know, going solo for this one. I might be going solo for the next one. I'll explain all of that in a little bit in our intro. But before I go anywhere, I just need to say some thanks and big shout out to this family because they have showed me lots of support over the years. A big shout out to Tony and AJ Schumacher, and I want you guys to pay attention because they have their FTC 2025 race coming up February 21st to 23rd at the infamous Nitro Compound in Maricopa, Arizona. This epic event will take place at this beautiful dirt Coliseum where the gladiators of RC racing such as Ryan Mayfield, Spencer Rifkin, Camden Line, Spencer Heckert, and many more will come together to clash and do battle at the Nitro Compound. Track will be done by Factory Tracks. Coverage will be by Mod. Friday is open practice. Saturday the 22nd is open practice plus 3 rounds of qualifying. And Sunday is the February 23rd is all of your A finals. If you can't go there and be a participant of it, you can catch all the action on Mod Live Media. Big shout out to Tony and AJ Schumacher for all their support of the No Name RC podcast. And we hope you guys have a great and successful race out there. And we look forward to all the coverage watching it over the day. All right, let's drop that intro and let's get cracking. It's 2025, still searching for that intro.
Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right.
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here. $100 bill. Oh no!
I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to show number 306 of the No Name RC podcast and our first official podcast of 2025. I'm your host, Keena White, aka Lefty the Great, and as you can see, I'm solo here. You may ask, where is the great professor of everything, Max Mort? Well, Max Mort is busy backpacking around Eastern Europe right now with his girlfriend, staying in hostels and chaining himself to trees. No, I'm joking about the chaining himself to trees. He probably is staying in hostels. Him and his girlfriend are kind of on a month-long vacation doing the backpacking thing around Europe. So he isn't available for the podcast, but that's fine because we kind of just doing an interview as well. JQ, he's not available as well. He's in Spain on a motocross excursion that he did last year. 2 weeks in Spain, going to all these different motocross tracks. I think he talked about that on one of our podcasts as well. So he's not available, but he did tell me that he will be coming on the podcast sometime over the next couple of months or whatever as well. And he says he will be on the podcast a little bit more this year. So let's see how that all works out with JQ because he's busy. He's got a lot going on anyway. So I'm kind of flying solo here, but as you guys know, I was just at SIC. It was a great event. Congratulations to this man who won this, Dakotah Phend. And I said to him, hey man, a lot of people have kind of reached out to me and they really want to have you want me to have you back on the podcast, especially after all the big silly season hype with you, with Xray and you leaving TLR and all that type of stuff. And he said, sure. And I know he's a busy man, so I appreciate his time. He made time for me. We had a great chat. And that's pretty much what this podcast is all about. We just kind of breaking the ice with Dakotah Phend. I thought it'd be a good start for 2025, a good way to ease our way back in it after taking about a month hiatus. We kind of usually take about a month off at the end of the year anyway. So thank you to Dakotah Phend. I hope you guys do enjoy the interview. As I've gotten to know Phend over the years, he has definitely impressed me more and more. So definitely good stuff. Once again, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you guys had happy holidays and had happy Christmas, Happy New Year and all that good stuff. We're kind of back on the grind here. It's 2025. As I'm recording this, it's the 22nd of January already. Wow, time has flown by. I didn't realize it was that. We do have some somber news. We did have some passings away during just after the holiday season here. So I just wanted to say a big shout out and condolences to Justin Drinks and his family and the Northeast racing community. He passed away, I believe, in a car accident about a week and a half ago. Young man, 28 years old, avid racer, been racing since he was young. Nothing but positive things to say about him. And unfortunate when a young man like that loses his life. And I know the RC community up there is really suffering from that. Also, a big shout out to Tom Hitchcock's family and the New Reds RC community down there in Florida. Tom Hitchcock is the owner of New Reds, and he passed away recently as well last week. So unfortunate for everybody there. We never like to see our RC family pass away or anything like that. So our condolences to all the families, our condolences to the RC community. And that's some somber news going into 2025. As I stated, we were on a brief hiatus for a while. I got back home. A lot of you may have not listened to the previous podcast. I had to move into a new apartment, stuff like that, due to flooding at my old house. So lots been going on in my life. Then I had to rip out to Alabama for SIC. It was a good time out there. Thank you to Elite RC Productions, Danny Paz, Lance McDonald, Gene, Patrick, and Dave Lycom, and everybody at Racetime for having us there. It was cold there. It was some good racing. It was good to see Phend there. I am going to do an SIC recap on my own. I'm actually going to do another podcast on my own as well here shortly. So stay tuned for that. Yeah. So lots of things going on in the mix. I'm probably going to talk about that. I know you guys probably like, wow, this is a long intro. But we have to say thank you to our sponsors, man. Our new title sponsor, J Concepts. I know a lot of people were surprised when I posted that up here this past weekend. But I want to say a big thank you to Jason Rona and Allison Rona for believing in what we're doing here at the No Name RC Podcast and coming on as a title sponsor. We also have some cool things planned around that as well. We also have High Tech RCD continuing on with us. We greatly appreciate it. Sidewinder Fuels, Latera Racing. We'll talk about them shortly. Invisible Speed, Mayako, Hot Race Tires, Elite RC Productions, Techno RC, Beach RC, Racecraft USA, and we have a couple of new sponsors that I'm going to talk about as well. We have ML Toys, which I'm going to explain her shortly, as well as Side Piece Racing, who's not a new sponsor. He's been sponsoring for the longest while, but we're kind of promoting his whole web shop now, and that's my buddy Hefty at Side Piece Racing. Also, a big shout out to our drivers, the official drivers of the No Name RC Podcast: David Ronnefeld, Robert Batty, Alexander Hagberg, Matty G, Pecco, Even and Yuna Hotnan, and Mason Fuller. May they have all the best of luck in their racing this year. So as you guys can see, we have some new sponsors, and I want to just break it down how all this came about. Obviously, we know who J Concepts is. They're one of the biggest tire manufacturers and accessory manufacturers in RC. As you guys may not have known, we're also going up to Elite RC is doing all of the coverage for the INS races. In fact, I'm going up to trackside here in 2 weeks' time. My first time. I'm very excited about that. And then I kind of saw Jason at the Carpet Championships, and I got to talking to him. And I think over the last couple of years, as I've gotten to know Jason and he's gotten to know me, we have a mutual respect for each other. And I said, hey, man, I think it would be cool if we do some INS specific shows. And because we're doing a whole bunch of different campaigns. And, you know, we're trying to be eclectic here at the No Name RC podcast and do different things, not just podcasting. We're making videos. You see Will's also sharing videos. So we're trying to do lots of things like that and looking out to just continue to make content and do things better and improve and pioneer things in RC media and virtual media. So I pitched him on it, and then we got talking about, possibly yearly advertising, and we came out to a deal. And I have to say, I'm really chuffed about this. I was a person that watched J Concepts come up from the BJ4 and all that type of stuff. I think that's the name of it. I got it wrong. And what they've become in the industry now, like such the powerhouse that they are. And I've gotten to know Jason as a person and his attention to detail. He's always out there watching RC. J Concepts puts a lot of money back into races and into RC. So thank you, J Concepts, for all your support coming on. We are dropping our first INS preview. It has actually Jason run on it. It was 2.5 hours of us geeking out on 10 scale, me, Will, and Jason. So that will be dropping here shortly. Next up, I'd like to say a big thank you to Latara Racing. You may see me wearing their shirts. Big shout out to Martin and Kim at Latara Racing. We've become good friends. I met these gentlemen at the Worlds in 2022. We was giving them rides back and forth. We were staying in the same hotel. They were listeners of the podcast. We became good friends. They helped us with our coverage of the World Championships here in 2024. And I'm glad to have them on board. Latara Racing is a hobby shop track in Sweden. They are also sponsors of David Ranoff. They're importers of Xray, Mayako, Coyote, various other products as well. They're passionate RC racers. Their hobby shop is just RC Racing, and I've heard nothing but great things about Latara Racing from my Swedish friends. So thank you to Kim and Martin. Also, a big shout out to RC Project IT. Stefano, I got to meet Stefano at the Worlds of 2024, and he says, next year I will be advertising on your podcast. And we got talking, we got something going, and he makes cool products. If you don't know who Stefano is and RC Project, they make cool clutch tools. This is really what caught my attention. They have, of course, a lot of you might know them from their awesome shock caps that they make. And a lot of the top racers are running them. Here we go. There's some shock caps here. I'll click on that so we can, that's pinion gears. So they have lots of parts for different cars. He's very passionate about RC. And I had a great chat with him at the Worlds, and I'm so glad to have RC Project on. We're going to work out, see if we can get some coupon codes for these as well. We haven't really had time to sit down and talk about this. So thank you to RC Project for them coming on. I greatly appreciate all of that. And I guess the other one you guys might see is actually ML Toys. Now, you guys might be asking me, what in the heck is ML Toys? Was exactly what I said when I asked this person about it. So ML Toys belongs to a racer named Alan Placer. He's an avid racer from the Northeast. And we got to talking one day, and he was like, dude, I said, what is ML Toys? And he goes, this is what I do for business. And it's actually modifications for Power Wheels. And I was like, no way. And then we had a meeting at Fall Brawl. We talked, and it's funny that this all happened because my daughter just asked for Power Wheels, right? So I have a Power Wheels coming, and it's cool. Like, I'm basically starting a whole nother channel. We're going to be dedicated. We're basically doing what we did at the NNRC with the Power Wheel stuff. So we just recorded our first podcast, like an intro to him. I'm going to be receiving my Power Wheels, modifying it, vlogging that, doing content for that, spending some time with my daughter because she really wants to be on YouTube as well. And I don't know if you guys are into that type of stuff. Check them out, man. It's pretty interesting, and it's a lot of similarities to RC, how niche it is and whatnot. So also one of our new sponsors, but not new because he's been a sponsor for quite some time. Big shout out to my boy Hefty at Side Piece Racing. Side Piece Racing is your one-stop shop for all your things Awesomatics, Roche, Radtech, Montech, Extreme. They got a whole bunch of stuff. He has everything at this place. We'll work on getting you a coupon code, maybe from her Will Speed stuff as well. I want to say a big shout out to Hefty for all his support with the No Name RC podcast, and check out his podcast as well, Track Rats, with him and Monty. So big shout out to Side Piece Racing. We'll have links for all of these new companies in the written description of this podcast. That's what's kind of going on with us. I'm really happy for those companies for coming on board. Of course, we still have our companies that always stay on board, like the Clinic RCs, Racecraft, Techno, Beach RC, and all these other companies that we greatly appreciate their support, because without them, none of this is possible. We have a couple of spots open on our yearly sponsorship deal. If you want to get involved in that, let us know. Shoot us an email. And we have some short-term campaigns as well that we're planning. We're really trying to do some cool stuff. I think you guys are going to like what we did with the INS, and we're hopefully going to take that into some more stuff as well. So lots of things going on in the background. We haven't been just chilling out. We've been working in the background. And a lot of this, a big shout out to Max for all his hard work. Also, we've added Will to the team, Will Venables. And we've added a new guy as well. Ty Taylor is our like producer guy. He did his first show with me the other day. So now that I can have a dedicated producer, I can see myself doing more live shows and stuff like that as well. So the more people we have involved, the more content we can make. And we're all about making as much content as we can here at the No Name RC podcast. Anyway, I didn't want to ramble on about all of that stuff, but I kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of what's been going on, what our plans are for 2025, and what we're looking at doing. Yes, I'll be going to races as well. I am scheduled to go to the European Championships, the World E-Buggy World Championships. I would love to go to the Nationals this year. Of course, they're going to be at Thornhill. I've never been to Thornhill, so I really want to go. And yeah, I'm just we're trying to crack along. And as we go to these races, we're learning more. We're getting to see people. And I just can't say thank you enough to everybody out there, because without you guys, none of this is possible. So it's been quite a long journey. We're 306 shows and we're pushing harder than ever. It's awesome. We greatly appreciate you guys' support. And without this, none of this is possible. Our goal is still the same thing. Bring great news, be entertaining, and push for change when change is needed. And that's still our mission. And we're starting to see change in the industry. We are definitely starting to see change in the industry, and that is great. Alrighty, so not much more to say about that besides thank you, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed. The Patreon has been very good on the No Name RC podcast. Thank you for everybody that's been a Patreon as well. The YouTube is growing. You guys seem to like these lefty simple thoughts. We'll have more videos like that coming as well. They're pretty simple to do. I can actually do those on the road as well, just with my camera. So we'll have more stuff like that. And then I'll be doing, I think when Max gets back and he's in studio, and probably when I get back from INS and Beast of the East, the two races that I'm going to here next week, we're going to do a full silly season recap. We're seeing some late moves. Jonah Wilson's moving, Sparklefish. And we saw Borak move, engines. So still some moves going on. We're going to take a big synopsis of everything, look at it, and do a full nerd out on that here brief when Max gets back in studio. So I get it. You guys are ready to hear from Dakotah Phend. I hope you guys enjoy the interview. We wish all the best to Dakotah Phend in his new endeavor with Xray. He's gotten it started off to a banging start. And let's go talk to the phenom, Dakotah Phend. What's going on, everybody? We are back. And our first interview of the year is the phenom, Dakotah Phend, the man who shook up silly season this year, who also coming off an impressive Pro Nitro Buggy and E-Buggy victory at the 2025 Southern Indoor Championships, as well as a two-wheel drive win and double TQs and four-wheel drive at probably one of the biggest 10-scale races of the year, the Clash of Champions at the Hoosier Hobbyplex. Welcome, Dakotah Phend.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, Happy New Year. It's going by quick. We're already, 3 weeks in pretty much. It's just flying by.
Yeah, we was together last week at the SIC. I went up to you and I said, dude, it's so weird seeing you in blue, right? Blue Xray, because we've seen you for so many years in the black and yellow TLR swag, and probably before it became TLR, it was other colors because you've been with them for 19 years. So it was a big change to see you in Alabama in those colors. And thank you. You came in, you hold a race with me. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
It was cool for me. I had some people reach out and say, hey, Lefty, that was pretty cool. Like finding out what you would do in this situation and, how you would attack.
A little bit different perspective. And I was just hanging out. So it was nice. I get to watch the race in the warm trailer. And
Oh, that was the reason. That was the. I thought
Yeah. I didn't actually want to talk. I just wanted to be more of a watch. So
Yeah. So that was good. And just over the years that I've gotten to get to know you a little bit better. It went from I would see you and just speak to like, hey, what's up? Talk a little shit. Have some fun. Now that I've gotten to know you and see how, like, I've gotten to appreciate your professionality, like your professionalism. Like, you're always there, available for an interview. You do good very interviews. You're very comfortable in front of the camera, and it's kind of it's been a great process to get to know you over the last couple of years and see how your mind works. And I'm seeing you when you're a little bit upset too, which is it doesn't happen much.
Yeah, it doesn't happen too often, but it does happen occasionally.
DNC 2022, I think it was the first time I'm seeing you like actually mad. You came fourth.
Yeah, actually mad.
Did you see that out there? That was pretty rough. Fuck.
Yeah.
So, gotten to know you. Obviously, you're working with the Elite RC production crew. That's great. Lance had a vision. You guys seem to be working together. Obviously, we're close with that. And we appreciate that as well. So thank you for all your support in that case. But you definitely shook up silly season this year. I told Max the other day that we've created a monster with silly season. It's always been around, but this year was really crazy. And I gotta ask, I asked you at SIC, how mad was you that I talked about you testing the Xray at that track? It was in Ohio, right?
Yeah, it was in Ohio. I wasn't really mad that, it was like announced or you talked about it or anything. I think that, I mean, I obviously I know who told you, because it wasn't exactly like an open. I mean, technically it's an open practice day, but there was one other person there, right, and then the owner. So obviously I know who it was. It wasn't like there was 15, 20 people there or anything.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It obviously got the hype going for the last 3 months or so. That wasn't the intention. But yeah, it happened, and it kind of that was kind of what everyone thought. And then obviously there was a lot of like switch up there at the end, and then that's what ended up happening. So it was good. It needed to happen. I obviously, kind of know the 10 skill stuff is really good, and I know 8 skill stuff is too, but I don't have any experience with the pillow ball style cars, pretty much zero. So I wanted to at least be able to run when the weather was still nice enough to do that, and kind of just get a general feel for it on an outdoor track.
Yeah, I remember when I got that message, I was like, what? And Max didn't believe me. He was like, it's no way. No way that they're doing that. Why would they do that openly? I said, I think it's over. I think they're done at TLR, right? But this is before we heard about the disbanding of the team, all that type of stuff. And I remember Cheeky messaged me, and he goes, when are you going to talk about Robert going to S-Works? And I was like, I didn't know about that till you just told me that.
Yeah, no, I know.
But I had heard some rumors about him maybe leaving. But over the months, it's been a great silly season saga. Obviously, with you coming into Xray, with Bruno leaving Xray, I think that's kind of what all started it as well. The rumors we heard at the Worlds of Bruno leaving Xray, so that obviously opened up a door for a driver, a caliber of yourself. Even though I know it's kind of different with RC America and Xray over in Europe, I don't really understand how that all works. Maybe you can explain it a little bit if you can. But yeah, it was an exciting silly season that ramped up at the end near the end of the year. Obviously, with you going to Xray, then there was some excitement because throughout the whole time, I was kind of sure it was Xray because logically that was the logical place to go, right? Yeah. Either that or Associated were the two places for you to go because you're a dual driver. You do 10 scale, do 8 scale. You're very good at both of them. We've said it many times. I think you're probably the best all-around racer in the world, off-road racer. And it just seemed like Xray was the natural progression for you to go. Yeah. Of course, we heard rumors S-Works was possible, and I know your connection with Brent through Ultimate, him obviously being the S-Works importer, main distributor in the USA. I was seeing that, but no disrespect to the S-Works side of things. Their 10 scale program, yes, they have one. If they can get it up to snuff, I think, to work on dirt and really promote it in the USA, it can fit right in now where I think TLR is going to lose a lot of that 10 scale gain. So I was kind of like, I didn't know about that. Then there was like, wild rumors, maybe Infinity, maybe this, maybe that. And I shit you not, like out of the blue, I got a message about you possibly talking about Mayako. And I'm like, what? So then I messaged JQ. He's vague about it. And I guess that kind of started our podcast where Max and I, we can, basically, we kind of were just spitballing. Like, what if this happened? What if this happened? We didn't know. Obviously, we was thinking Mayako with Schumacher, all that type of stuff. I guess what I'm asking is, like, how close was all of this? Like, at the end of the day, was there a close thing between you and Mayako? Obviously, Xray always seemed to be the main company that you was going to go to. Then, of course, we go to, possibly S-Works, and then maybe the thought of going to Mayako. Was these all feasible? Was this all feasible for you?
Yeah. So I think kind of people have to remember, I was with TLR for my whole career. It's all I ever known. So I've never really had the experience or the opportunity to really kind of see what's out there car wise. So when I found out that for sure that's, I was not going to be signing with TLR again, that was kind of when I was kind of like, okay, let's, kind of see what's out there and see the options, because, I may never have this opportunity again. Obviously the goal whenever I move is to stay with that company for, the rest of my career. Obviously sometimes that doesn't happen and, it doesn't work out, but that was the goal. So when that opportunity was there, I was like, okay, like I gotta kind of see what's out there and at least, say I explored other options and if Xray was still the option that I needed to do, then, awesome. That's obviously what happened, but yeah, I definitely had conversations, with other companies and kind of saw what was out there. And, I did take everything seriously. And, me and Chloe talked a lot, spent a lot of hours talking and going back and forth and, making lists and really just trying to talk everything out. And, I think that from the beginning, it kind of felt like Xray was where I needed to be. And yeah, we had those serious conversations and it seemed like that was, this was where I needed to be. So that's obviously what ended up happening. Ended up being able to be worked out and stuff. And now we're here.
Yeah, and let's also add into the fact that you and Chloe are about to be brand new parents here in a couple of months. So obviously, lots of pressure on you. I guess, how did it start? Like, there was lots of rumors flying around. There's always rumors flying around about you, right? And there's always, what is he going to do if he? We would love to see what Phend could do when he's not on the TLR. You've been there since you was 5, I think. So basically, in my opinion, carrying the brand over the last 10 years, we all kind of, okay, yeah, Tater has a world championship, but like you've been the guy, you've been the guy, the phenom, you've driven that car. We all know that some of the platforms are outdated. They haven't really, obviously the TLR and Horizon haven't put the time and effort into I don't want to say they've put the time and effort. They haven't really put the time and effort and passion into it, probably as they did when it was years ago, because we understand that racing is a very small niche segment of what they really do, which is the RTR stuff, which I understand all of that. But I try to put it to people like this. Imagine you work or you've represented a company for 19 years. Most people are probably retiring 20 to 25 years. You're retiring. Obviously, this is a little different because you got started at 5 or 6. But imagine you come to work one day and they say, hey, thank you for, I think this is how it happened. Maybe this is a simple term. Hey, thank you for all the hard work you've done over the last 19 years and carrying our racing brand for umpteen years. But hey, now we're not going to pay you to do your job. You're going to have to make your own travel to get to do your job. And basically how you finish at that race is how much you would get paid. But I tried to tell people, imagine if you go to work and someone says, hey, can you work for free? And you're going to work, you have to pay your own travel and you have to work on a contingency-based, performance-based program. I think most people would lose their shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think people have to remember too, like, okay, it's a contingency based level, but you look at the contingency, and that contingency package that they have would not even cover my travel, much less, the salary that I lost out on and everything else. So yeah, it was a big hit. Honestly, it was a pretty big slap in the face. I think it was a lot worse than people realized what happened. And I kind of just stayed quiet. I think I showed a little bit of saltiness or whatever you want to call it when I did my my exit post. But yeah, it was I think it was a lot worse than people realize. And I kind of was getting a little bit frustrated the last couple of years. I had a great 2022, 2023. Last year was not bad by any means, but definitely not as good as the previous years. And I was really kind of just struggling. Everyone's making progress, and I kind of felt like I'd show up the races, and I was kind of just stuck where I was at. We'd gone down all the paths, and that was just kind of like I'd show up and be like, okay, this is what I got. So yeah, I was pretty frustrated already. So I had to open up conversations and been talking with Xray a little bit. And I actually got a phone call on Thanksgiving week from someone at Horizon, pretty much telling me that, hey, this isn't going to happen next year. We'll finish the contract out under that, but after that, you're pretty much on your own, and we're not going to be doing this on a professional side anymore. So that was pretty frustrating. It wasn't someone that I even knew or really had conversations with in the past. So to me, that's pretty disrespectful. After all the time I've put in, and I think to do it as late as they did as well, they obviously had to have an idea for quite a while. It's not something you just kind of throw it away in the last month of the year. So yeah, that was pretty frustrating. Definitely pretty upset about that. And just the timing of it all. It really sucks. Like you said, we have a kid on the way. He's going to be here, end of March, beginning of April. So was for sure a lot of pressure. My whole life, all the events that I've had, despite everything else in RC, outside of RC, me and TLR have always been connected up, and we've been through ups and downs together. So yeah, it is what it is. I do think that it did happen for a reason. Like I said, it really sucks to have this happen. The pretty much ending and starting a new year with having a kid in the way, and pretty much having a whole new program for the most part. But I think it happened for a reason. And we're on to bigger and better things, and we're starting fresh. So
absolutely, man, absolutely. I'm honestly, I'm utterly disgusted with things like that. I understand why they are doing this. We have people, there's a big topic in RC about, do we need pro drivers and all this type of stuff. And I, for one, am a big proponent of pro drivers, because there is a kid out there that's getting into RC, and he's going to look at you and say, I want to be like Dakotah Phend one day. And we need to have that in RC, right? We need to have that, because the opportunity to have a professional driver or drivers in our sport legitimizes hobby / sport. It's a big argument. Legitimizes, in my opinion, that we're doing something that's a professional side. Every single form of racing has a pretty much professional side. I'm pretty sure that some people make money at it. It's very niche. TLR started with the Losies. Obviously, they came out of racing. It got bought by Horizon. We've seen the slow deterioration from it being a racing team. Obviously, Drake was the first person to go. We saw a rebuild, saw a big rebuild with Tran. He did build it back up to an extent, but then I heard he was fully overloaded, and you guys were going good for a little while there. Had a great 10 scale team, had a good presence at the 8 scale teams for the couple years he was there. And then I kind of saw it once he left, but I know there was another manager that they just pulled over, and he lasted a few weeks. And now I even heard that the manager that's doing everything now is kind of managing everything, like land, air, and water. So it's just corporate. The money is in the RTR stuff, right? The money is in the RTR stuff. The racing is the passion, right? The racing doesn't really pay much money. I mean, it's already flooded in the 8 scale market. 10 scale, not so much, right? 10 scale, you have 3 brands, but also the amount of effort that Horizon put into the racing side of things dwindled. Once you start taking away a team member, you know.
Yeah. And that's tough. Like I think people kind of forget to realize, like, obviously, like, my job is to win, but it's become a lot more than that now. You can't just go out there and just win and be like, all right, I did my job. There's you gotta show that you're helping to increase the sales, and that's really hard to specifically show. If unless you're having like a code or a link or something, it's really hard to show. But as a whole, like representing the company well, doing videos, promoting, being on social media and stuff, and doing all that, like that all makes a difference. But it is really hard to sell things that aren't for sale, or there hasn't been parts support for 6 months, 7 months, and a lot of people leave. So I think unfortunately, I don't know if that was in their mind a couple of years ago or not, but I think unfortunately we kind of got a little bit kind of like blamed for that. For obviously there was a decrease in sales, and I think that it's really hard to sell things that's not available. So it like I said, is what it is, and we're on to new things now.
Yeah, you get what you put in. You get out of it what you put into it, right? So good stuff. So I have to ask this: how close have you come prior to maybe leaving TLR? Has it come close before?
I've been frustrated before, but which my mom can correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, I never have reached out to another company on the vehicle side of things. So I really honestly haven't had conversations. Obviously there's been frustration before. That's normal. But I feel like we've always kind of had that commitment to each other that was like, we're going to work this out. We're going to figure it out. So honestly, not really, no.
Okay. Another quick question. Good old Bartholomew. He's been driving the Xray for quite some time. Well, have you talked to Barry since joining Xray? If so, what did he say?
Yeah, I've had conversations with Barry. We had a great relationship, and still do. So yeah, that was we had conversations, a little bit before, and we've had conversations after. I feel like I kind of needed to go to Xray, and that was the right decision for me. As far as like 10 skill 8 skill program, just everything they had to offer. But yeah, we've had conversations, and he's a great guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he was very happy for you. I don't know how much influence he had on your 8 skill program, but I think he had. I give credit to Barry. I know you have to drive it. Don't get me wrong, and I know you do everything that there, but I think I don't know. Barry had added something to your team that really improved your 8 skill results and finishing.
Yeah, for sure. He has a lot of knowledge. And he helped to kind of get that program figured out, to kind of get over that hump, to be able to be in the races the whole time, the whole weekend, and show up come main time when it counted, and not just be there in qualifying and then come main time have the struggles and stuff. So he helped a lot with that. On the setup side of things, kind of just getting the car to still be fast, but be just kind of better come main time, and be a little more consistent when the track was at its worst. And then also just the maintenance side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's fast forward now. You're on Xray. You signed with Xray. How did the negotiations go with Xray? I mean, maybe touch on how it works. RC America, I know, like, as a U.S. distributor, how much influence I know it's new. You haven't really got started, but obviously the Hoodies are very passionate about RC racing. That's funny. You went from a team that really didn't give a shit about racing to a team that's like their passion, their absolute passion to do. I guess, tell us, I'm curious, how does your contract work with Hoodie and being RC America?
So I actually kind of put my name in the hat pretty early on in the year, just to kind of get the ball rolling. It's not a fast process. So I kind of did that pretty early on in the year, and kind of just got the idea rolling, and they kind of start figuring things out. So yeah, I mean, obviously I'm linked up with Xray and RC America together, and they had lots of discussions, lots of negotiations between themselves, and then kind of just came to me, with an offer. Obviously I have my own separate things between the two of them, But yeah, it took a little while for them to figure things out between themselves and figure out negotiations. They got to figure out. They had to figure out, the Xray team overseas. They got to figure out the RC America team, here in the U.S. And then how that looks with me involved as well. So that took a little while. And then we were able to kind of get things worked out here pretty late in the year. Pretty much like the last week of December, or second to last week of December, somewhere around there. We got everything figured out, and then was able to everyone kind of jumped in and was able to make this possible. As far as Cheeky ended up building my cars for Clash and SIC. I actually drove his Nitro Buggy at SIC, and then he got me an e-buggy built, and then built the 10 scale cars as well for Clash. So it's pretty last minute. We had pretty much everything just overnighted to him, all electronics and all the parts and screws and bearings and all that stuff. And then, got bodies shipped to Bradley, pretty much got them, on a Monday, paid them on a Tuesday. And then I went and picked them up on a Wednesday kind of thing. So it was all pretty last minute, and it took everyone to really kind of step up and make it happen. Same thing with Stick at One. They got the stuff and had to get it overnighted back to me. Got it right before Clash. And it's tough, with, you got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, you got the New Year's, everything's all backed up. So if the deal isn't done, in beginning in November, it really, it makes it end up taking a lot longer. So something that might, take one day ends up taking, 5 or 6 days just because of that. And then, there's a time change as well. So when you're having a conversation here, I think Europe's like 6 or 7 hours ahead on the East Coast time, and then you think West Coast time, it ends up going like to 9 hours. So it really makes a big difference. Makes communications just take a little bit longer, but yeah, they were able to kind of get everything figured out on their end. Kind of present me with offers, and honestly, with as far as like the negotiation on my end, it went pretty smoothly. Obviously there's a couple little things here and there you kind of have to figure out, negotiate, but it honestly went pretty smoothly once I got it offered and was able to start having serious conversations with them.
Sweet. So I guess safe to say, when we was at Carpet Championships and you was like right next to the Xray people, there was communication going on right there.
Yeah, it was kind of ironic that happened because they haven't been there in the past. So it's kind of funny, obviously people at the time had kind of known that I was, at least having conversations with them and stuff. It was kind of funny. I was definitely getting some jokes all weekend. But yeah, it was just kind of ironic how that worked out.
Yeah, and Bruno was kind of just over there. I would say that Bruno looked like he was just over it. Like he was like, I just want to get back to racing on the road. That's how it looked to me this weekend. And I just thought it was weird. We had, was it Martin or Marco Hootie? I think it was
Martin.
Yep. So him with his family there. Dude, that's when Cheeky and I got in conversations, and he was telling me how big in America 10 scale is for Xray. When I saw the amount of people at Carpet Championships, I was like, oh,
it was huge. It was a huge team. And honestly, same thing at Clash. Like we went and did that picture there in between. I don't know, it was in between qualifiers or something, but they had a small break, and we went to go take the picture and went up on the driver's stand, and we couldn't fit. So we had to go back down and do it like on the track area. So definitely was really cool to see. And
very impressive.
I mean, that was
the 10 scale team.
Yeah,
very impressive.
They have a great team, and it honestly went really smoothly. Everyone worked really well together and was really welcoming. There was quite a few new people on the team. A lot of us had worked together, in the past, but that's kind of almost like a weirder dynamic, I think, to have. You have 5 or 6 people who have worked together coming into another team that has a group of people that have worked together, and it's it's not 2 separate groups now. It's one group. If you just have one person coming in, it's, I think, maybe a little bit simpler, but it went really smoothly. I was super pumped on that, and it's just going to get better as far as the team atmosphere and how we work together.
Yeah, a lot of the guys, when TLR did that big cut for the first round of RPPs, a lot of guys that ran TLR left, and they migrated over to Xray Schumacher, right? Unassociated, mostly Xray. You have a very good contingent of fast guys on stock. Like Ryan Rivas was really good at the Carpet Championships. Obviously, you had Max Lotzel and Martin Bayer that come over here. Ronda Falk. You lost Tom Rinderneck, who was a good asset, but you still have Chase Lemieux. Obviously, Tater's going over. Kyle Go, great stock racer. So Xray has some pedigree in their stable. Obviously, with you on board now, it's a higher echelon of pedigree. On the 8 scale side of things, they do struggle a bit in America. We don't see that same type of support. Obviously, at SIC this past weekend, excuse me, as we're recording this was the weekend prior, you lost your bags.
Yeah.
So you and Cheeky lost your bags. There just wasn't enough Xray drivers to build you a truggy. And people was like, well, he could have just borrowed somebody's truggy. But yeah, you need to build that yourself and go through it yourself.
Yeah,
But
it's tough, when you're not having, your electronics in there, your engine. Like it'd be pretty much someone would have had to not race. And it still would have been quite a process. I didn't have the body. The body actually was in my checked bag. And then we had the whole center of the truggy. Chicky had brought that on his backpack, but obviously the front rear clips, there's not room for that in a backpack. So that was what we really lost, was just the front rear clips. And I didn't have the body with me either as well. So it definitely sucked. It was frustrating. But then at the same time, like it gave us the time to really work on the buggies and get those dialed in as well. So it sucked. I would have definitely loved to run the truck. Actually, I haven't even had the chance to run it yet. But we'll be at NSX later this week now. By the time it gets posted, we'll probably be there. But yeah, it'll be later this week. We'll be running it for the first time.
Yeah, you go up to Westergaard's race up at the dirt. You didn't even have Xray clothes. But it's just that Xray is very small on the 8 scale side of things in North America. Now you go to Europe, it's a completely different story. So my buddy Blake Baker, I know you got to meet them. They're super happy. Like the people that run 8 scale, Ryan Daze, Blake Baker, Wilson Collard, all great. They're excited to have you on board, I can tell you. And if I see what's going on, so I know, like, what's his name? Is it Drew Ellis? He's the team manager, right? And I know he's more of an on-road guy. And I know he's going through some health issues as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had, I don't know the full story. We wish him to get well soon, but I know he's the team manager. I know he's an on-road guy too, but I really credit Cheeky to what I see out there a lot, because Cheeky was a very good team manager at Serpent when Serpent was going hot. Maybe people don't hear about Serpent now, but Serpent was a viable car with a big team in the USA, and he was the reason for that because he built that team up. And I always thought he would be the perfect choice as a team manager, or at least the offer a team manager for Xray, and he seems to have done a very good job with that. And as you guys start going to these 8 scale races, because you got to go, right? You got to go to these races. Yeah. You got to be relevant. You will start seeing the Xray more. We see them. You see the Xray tents, but you'll start seeing them more frequently. You'll start seeing more drivers. I think when Tessman was around, they had a good bit of people. I'm not saying that people don't go to these races, but it's just not as big as maybe some of the other, as it is in 10 scale. That's about a comparison. The 10 scale guys that I've talked to that race Xray, they're going to be racing 8 scale. So it's going to be a mix. It's going to be good. I think what you've done is give the guys here in the USA that top driver that can go out and win any race, right? When you can go to any race and you can win it. Like, that is not a problem on any type of surface. You're one of the few drivers in the world that can do that, like and 10 scale or 8 scale. And they have somebody to cheer on. That's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, it means something. Like, people's like, well, pro drivers, you have to sell this much kits, all that type of stuff. What would you say to those people who say that type of stuff? Like, pro drivers don't sell kits. We don't need pros to sell kits. I get their points. But I think obviously a person like you moving to Xray has an immediate effect on the 8 scale program in the USA.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that would be the goal. They have a strong 10 scale team. We want to continue that and grow that even more. And then, the 8 scale side of things, there's a little bit more work to do, team wise in growing that. And that's the goal. I was really impressed with the cars. They were awesome at SIC, and it's just going to get better the more time we have on it, the more we're able to test and do running and run at different tracks and stuff. But, they have a great base with the car already. And yeah, I mean, like I said, obviously the goal is to continue to grow that. And I think there's a lot of people excited, a lot of people, that are interested in stuff. And yeah, hopefully we can get the team to continue to grow. And yeah, I'm excited. I've gotten a lot of messages the last couple months from people and stuff, and that's been really cool just to see all the support. There's a lot of people that I haven't talked to, in over 10 years, they were reaching out, supporting me and my family, and the decisions that we make. So that was awesome to see. It meant a lot to me, and yeah, the goal is to grow with Xray in the U.S. and RC America, and just keep the ball rolling. I think that on the pro side of things, it is important to have someone there. It gives more credibility to the race team, showing like, hey, like you pretty much, like, so to speak, you guys, there's no excuses. The equipment is really good. It's capable of winning, and it helps with the setup side of things. People enjoy having the ability to go up and ask, hey, your car looks really good. What are some things that I can do to my car? And Chicky has done an awesome job with that so far, especially in the 10 scale side of things. He was busy all weekend at Clash, answering questions, helping people out, and it didn't really matter what it was, whether it was car setup questions, or someone from Xray coming over and asking about tires, or whatever it was. He has a lot of knowledge and the ability to help. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I was watching him at SIC, and every time he passed, I said, "What you think?" I said, "Doing good, doing good, doing good." Rough race, rough baptism of fire right there at SIC. Tell us a little bit about your short time with the experience with the pillowbowl cars to the C-Hub type of linkage cars from the TLRs.
Yeah, I can say it is a very, very big difference. Not necessarily in like just going out there and being able to drive around the track, but to race like at the top level, it drives very different. It's not, it does a lot of things better, and kind of what I was looking for. But yeah, it was a lot to adapt to, and to figure out in that weekend. So I did a lot of running on Friday. Fortunately for me, it was open practice. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of open practice. I'd rather just you get 2-3 heats, you're done. You're not standing in line all day. Because it kind of is always that thing, like you're watching one of the guys run 10 times out there. You're like, man, like I can't go get lunch. Like I gotta try to get another session in, or you never, when we have that kind of time, like there's so much opportunity to be able to kind of hit the nail on the head, and find that like magic, so to speak. So where when you have two or three practices, you kind of go through like, all right, I got a solid base, kind of just tinker here and there, and it's a lot more chill weekend. But yeah, with limited time, it was perfect. I got really lucky. I actually was talking to Lance when he announced that 15-minute session for me, the media and stuff. So I got signed up for that. I used that to break in the drivetrain for the nitro buggy car. Got that broken in, and I had run a few times before that with the e-buggy, just to kind of get that broken in, and kind of get things balanced out. But yeah, I pretty much was in the track all day long. I never really left. I just stood in line, raced, marshaled, got back in line. Chicky would run back, make a change to the car, come running back, and we'd run again. So we did that quite a few times with the e-buggy. Kind of got like it had a pretty good base already, but we kind of went through like the basic stuff that we could real quick. Kind of got like in the ballpark where we needed to be, and then we get out there in the nitro buggy, and then kind of went from there and tinkered, and it kind of really dialed things in. The tough thing with the track was it was so wet on Friday that there's very minimal grip. It felt like pretty much like you're driving on a frozen lake. There really wasn't. There wasn't like any. There was no steering, no cut at all. As far as like trying to get into the turns. So you kind of had to make a lot of changes for that, and then kind of almost like detune and kind of slowly go back as the weekend went on. So we made a lot of changes to the car Friday, and then Saturday came along, and we slowly kind of took steps back to where we had started. And then same thing on Sunday, we made a couple more steps to kind of get back closer to where we had started with, just because the track came in, the grip came up a lot once the groove started to wear in, and then obviously got really rough and dusty. So having extra steering wasn't on the goal list anymore.
Yeah, I remember you said made an Ackerman change from one of the e-buggies, I think, to your nitro buggy.
Yeah, and that was probably the biggest example of how different the pillowball car works. I was in the beginning, I was kind of wanting more steering, more rotation, and that obviously makes the front end more aggressive, gives you more steering. But yeah, so I ran A1 of e-buggy, and the car felt a little bit floaty in the rear. Wasn't using a lot of the wheel input, which I'm personally I'm fine with. That doesn't bother me too much, but there to me needed a little bit more grip, needed to be a little bit more locked into the track. And Tricky was like, "Hey, let's do the Ackerman change." I'm like, like it doesn't really feel like the front's too aggressive. Like if I just had more rear grip, I'd be fine. And he's just like, "Do you trust me?" And I was like, "All right, like let's see what you got." So we made the Ackerman change, and it obviously was the right change. My nitro buggy was awesome, and yeah, I had more grip, so props to him.
Yeah.
There's a very different way of looking at things, and the car functions very differently. So that's
Mhm.
going to take me a little bit of time. I'm excited to get out to Paris and do some running later this week and kind of see that and learn more with that as well, because it is very different. How the car drives and rotates and steers in the corners is pretty much about as opposite as you can get. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to, but yeah, it was pretty awesome for the first weekend out, and I felt very, very comfortable in the main, especially
You
considering,
look
like I said,
comfortable.
just the time
You
that
look
we
comfortable.
had. Yeah.
I guess my next question would be, what adjustments did you have to make in your driving style to accommodate the car right off the bat?
So I would say one of the things I'd adapt to, and I did it a lot in practice. So you do the back section, you do that double, and then there's that really rough section come main time where it was kind of like it was a very open 180. It wasn't a tight like pivot 180. It was there's almost like kind of two pivot points. And I kind of pivot the first 90 degrees good, and then I would keep pivoting too far and then hit the pipe on exit on the second 90. So I had to adapt a little bit there, and it was really just me just not being comfortable or used to how the car rotates, because it does rotate a lot more with the rear end than the front end just like steering. So I kind of had to make it more of like a smooth arc corner instead of pivot and then try and go straight and pivot again. So I kind of just had to open the arc up a little bit. I was just making it. I was making it like it was a tighter 180 than it actually was. And just with how the car rotates, the front really doesn't grab any of the bumps or holes or rough sections or anything like that. So it's very, very like smooth, and a lot of people say kind of numb. I don't really necessarily like the word numb, because you do have a very like connected feel with how much you're steering and how it is going to steer. But it's just very smooth and very linear, and it doesn't grab anything, and kind of the front kind of almost just floats over the bumps. So that was really nice. And yeah, and then the rear end kind of will almost like it gives a more, trying to figure out the right word to say this. It's not a looser feeling, but the rear isn't quite as locked in.
Okay.
But I will say, so it has that kind of like a little bit of a looser feeling, but it never, because it does that, it never breaks loose and snaps and gets kind of like all crazy and buck wild. Where you see with C-Hub cars, like they have really good grip, and then when they break loose, you're kind of jackknifing all over the place. So it's just a different style. They obviously both kind of have their positives and minuses, and yeah, like I said, I was really happy to be able to kind of like peak on main day and have that be the best performance. We started in practice, and I was a little bit off pace, and we got pretty close by the end of practice, and then qualifying we got better every round in both of the classes. And I was just happy to be able to put solid results in. Same thing at Clash. Obviously, the goal is to win, but just to have all really solid qualifiers. Both weekends, I was really, really happy with, and we showed improvement across the board. As the weekend went on, so I was definitely excited with that.
Sweet. It sounds good. Also, you changed radios, right? So you're now on
Yep.
Fly Sky. I know you changed electronics to Coyote. What else did you change? You changed. I think that's it.
Yeah, and then just batteries with Gen's Ace.
Okay.
Gen's Ace.
So how's been the transition for radios with you? Because we just saw. It's funny. We see you join Fly Sky. We see David. He's left Fly Sky because he went going back to San Juan. I know he's chasing something he's looking for, right? He's as same age as you, but he's looking for the hurdles, and I shouldn't say the hurdles. He's looking for every possible detail in his program to get back on pace, right? So he feels that San Juan's the way he has to go. Have you noticed any difference with the Fly Sky radio? It's a very popular radio. It's we can see it. And I think for people like me who have no talent whatsoever, it's great. But for a person like you who needs everything that he can get out of a radio to be connected to it, is it a transition with that as well?
Yes and no. So I mean, obviously, the radio is super, super important. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with it. I'm usually really picky with radios. That's usually probably like that's for sure the most picky item on my list is the radio, the feel, the physical feel, and then just the connection to the vehicle as
Mm-hmm.
well. I had been with Spectrum for a long time, and honestly, as much as I enjoyed the M17, it actually did take me quite a few races, and just honestly just quite a bit of time to transition do that and feel comfortable. Um, and the flash guy radio I had I actually just had got like the old version,
Mm-hmm.
just the MB4 plus I think it was. I had that. I ran it one day, like end of last week of December. I felt really, really comfortable. That was the first time I run the 10 scale stuff. So I kind of showed up with the radio, the new Coyote and Gen Ace electronics, and then, obviously the Xray cars as well. And it was a really good day. My wife came with me and she's like, you look great. Like, I don't, I don't really know that there's anything specific you need to work on. And really my main goal was just to kind of get comfortable. So I really didn't mess with anything too much. I had baseline settings for pretty much everything. The car setup. I'd mentioned in the past that the Xray guys went down to Hoosier a couple months before and kind of got a really good baseline setup. So I had that. The electronics, I got some pretty good settings from Tater. He had gone and run, so I had a really good base with that. And I was really able just to kind of go out there and just run and just get log laps, get comfortable. And then I actually got the MB4 Pro Plus from Fly Sky the day before I left for a Clash. Got it set up and then showed up with the radio. And honestly, I didn't even think about it, which is pretty impressive. And it speaks a lot for the radio itself. Like I set it up to how I normally would and just went out there and drove. And I didn't think about it the whole weekend. I had a great connected feel to the car. Physically, it's super comfortable. So it was about as smooth as a transition as you could possibly expect. And then same thing with the Coyote electronics. Like I said, Tater had gotten a pretty good base and I made a couple small tweaks here and there. But yeah, the power band was really smooth. The brakes were good. Clash is always always had to kind of be on it with the brakes at Hoosier, just with how much grip there is. So there's a lot of different sections. There was a 180 at the end of the straight, but it kind of like tipped down, and then there was a lot of bumps there as well. So you had to be able to brake strongly, but not too strong. And then you had all those pie jumps where you needed an absolute ton of brakes to be able to kind of charge up and slam the brakes and have it slow down and stop enough. So yeah, I'm very, very happy and pleasantly surprised at how smooth everything has been going so far. And yeah, I'm really honestly really excited about that.
Do you think your transition over to the 2-wheel drive 10 scale stuff was a lot smoother and easier for you than the 8, even though you've seen success in both? I guess my question is, did you face the same issues you was feeling with the Pillow Bowl car going over to the platforms and their 10 scale stuff, or was it just more of a smooth transaction for you? Because similar, they're pretty much all. I know there's different, but they're similar.
I would say the 10 scale stuff was a little bit smoother transition. The main thing I noticed, like I said, when you're on really high grip like that, the cars like they can be pretty gnarly to drive. And I was really, really surprised by how easy the cars were to drive, especially the 2-wheel drive. I mean, it was so easy to drive out there. I kind of looked for a little bit more steering throughout the weekend. But the car, like the pace that I was running, the car was very happy to do that and it was very much in control, doing that pace. So that was really awesome. I was very, very excited with how easy the car was to drive there. Yeah. And we just made a couple small changes just to kind of get a little bit more steering in the car, but I honestly didn't really change that much with the 2-wheel drive at all. Kind of just drove it, and like I said, it was easy to drive and it was going a good pace. So for the first weekend out, I was pretty happy with that.
Okay, that's awesome. So in your brief interactions with Xray so far, I don't know how much involvement Xray Europe's been in this, I know there's also a language barrier with the Houthis. I don't think Uri speaks English. You may, I don't know, very broken English. So you go from a team like TLR where Barry Baker's out there buying HB parts to get the car working. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that out there at the Nationals, to a team which we consider that can pretty much make any manufacture any part you need in hours. You know, there's just these stories of them making parts while the race is going on, like when they've had the races there, because they do everything in house. Is that something maybe that you guys is Xray going to work on? So there's two things. You're either that good where you don't need a whole bunch of work on your cars, which I think you are, because you managed to make, in my opinion, a TLR that wasn't the best car work for many, many years and take wins. With a company that wanted to put bare minimum in it, to now going to Xray, who can make this type of stuff. We also know that Xray kind of do what kind of Houthi says, because, you know, but you kind of have to do that at TLR too, you know, so it's kind of, it's same but different. Well, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, do you think are they going to make parts to make you feel comfortable with the car? Will we see them probably taking some feedback from you? Their ability to make parts is probably unique to them in the industry that we're in right now.
Yeah. You know, I still kind of figuring that out. Like I said, this was kind of came down to the final hour, you know, getting this done.
Gotcha.
And we kind of got thrown in the deep end here with Clash and SIC. So after I do that factory NXX, I kind of have a little bit of time to reset, kind of see where things are at, you know, kind of get some parts, not just in Ziploc bags and stuff, and actually kind of like just do a reset and see where I'm at driving wise, you know, kind of see how they feel things went, you know, and then kind of have those conversations. You know, I would think that they'd be open to suggestions and stuff, you know, especially kind of from the US side of things. But yeah, that's still conversations that we need to have. I'm excited for those. And I think I'm kind of going into this with a little bit different mindset, because I'm not really that picky at all. I don't think, some people that worked with me in the past can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really think I'm that picky. But I'm trying to be a little bit more specific with what I'm looking for, just because I'm starting fresh. So, you know, I want to see what's you know, what's possible, what, you know, direction we can go in with the car and stuff, and just really just see and learn. Definitely kind of like you said, a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
I get to reset and honestly just kind of enjoy the process. Like I said, the car setup side of things with the pillow ball is very different from what I'm used to, and I'm excited to learn that and see how you do things differently, and just, you know, see what happens. I mean, I pretty much have to fully restart, go through everything again. You know, shock packages, springs, camber links, you know, hubs. Like, I gotta go through everything all over again, and I'm actually excited about that. And then same thing with the 10 skill side of things. You know, the 10 skill cars can be generally similar in design, but the way that they went about setup at Clash is very different from how I have known it to be. And so I'm excited to try, you know, going down those paths and then kind of go down what I'm used to and just, you know, see what happens, honestly.
Awesome. Your wife seems to be very in tune with your career. Obviously, she's been around it for quite a long time. She's your pit lady at times. Very good at that. Like, we've seen her manhandle. She isn't scared. Obviously, she knows what she's looking at. When she said, "Yeah, you look good. The car looks good," you know, what does she think about all of this? I mean, it must go from, like you said, rejuvenating your career a little bit. A lot, not just a bit. You know, you deserve to be on a team that actually values you, you know, because you're a fucking awesome driver. We're going to talk about probably one of the best moments I've ever seen in my RC history was the LCQ at the Worlds. But how does she feel about all of this? Like, is she excited for you? She obviously, she has to be.
Yeah, she's super excited.
Mm-hmm.
I take a lot of stock in what she says. And, you know, she does the same with me. So we have a really good relationship in that aspect. You know, and I take what she says seriously. So yeah, we had a lot of conversations about this, and pretty much from the beginning, she told me, like, she's like, this is where you're going to end up. Like, you know, I'm telling you, this is where you're going to end up. Like, this is all going to work out. This is what's going to happen. And, you know, obviously the last couple months of 2024 were pretty stressful on me.
I would imagine so.
Very, very stressful, honestly. Like, it was rough for sure. Especially with, you know, having the holidays and stuff as well. I'm just kind of sitting there, twiddling my thumbs. And she was pretty like stubborn in the fact like, hey, like this is going to work out. This is where you're going to end up. So that definitely helped on my side a little bit. Just like, all right, like I get, I'll
The
trust
woman,
you
man.
yeah, I'll trust you on this.
The partner.
And it all worked out. So yeah, she's really excited. She was able to go to Clash. And then she's going to come out. I think the Factory NSX will probably be her last race for a little while here. So she's pretty excited, I think, to go out there, and it'll be bittersweet.
She's a soldier. She's a soldier. Like she's in it. When you have a partner like that,
Yeah.
It really helps. So you got a good woman there, man. And I'm really excited for you guys and your first baby boy that you're gonna come in. It's gonna be awesome. He's gonna one day know how awesome his dad is. Like that's gonna be cool. We're gonna move on from the car setup stuff, but I just wanted to ask one more question. What would you say? You hear this all the time. Oh, Mayfield, Phend, all these guys, they can drive any car and beat and win, right? I don't believe that. I believe that you guys can drive any car and beat guys like me handedly and like any, guys that aren't on your level. But I think when it comes to cars, chassis, when you guys are at your level and you're competing against guys like Mayfield and all these top guys in America, then you have all the top European guys. I think the right car for you guys is really critical. What would you say to people that think you guys can drive anything and win? Because I did make a video and I said, we need to have patience. We always want you to win right away. I mean, okay, you did win right away. You kind of blew that little patience thing out of the water. But I mean, you want consistent wins, right? You had 1 8-scale win last year. You still won my NNRC Cup points, by the way. But you was consistent.
Yeah.
Consistent top threes, top fives. What would you say to those people who say you guys can drive anything and win?
That's tough. So I would say the pros could drive any vehicle and be semi-competitive. But yeah, winning is a little bit of a different story, especially consistently. So winning, there's a big difference between running an SIC and, P&B and then going to DNC and Silver State. That's polar opposites. Like you can't get more different than that. So to be able to go and be competitive and fighting for a win at that large of a spread of tracks, 100% the car has to be good and gelling with you. It doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. You don't have to have everything 100% perfect, 100% dialed into you, but you see it in 10 scale almost a little bit more with just the slicks racing. Like the cars have to be good. Your whole program has to be good now. You can't, back in the day, even back in like my day, which I think it's been a while now, but I still feel like it hasn't been. But it didn't really used to be like that. You could kind of just drive around it and depend a little bit more on yourself. But nowadays with the level everything's at, the tracks, your whole program has to be really good. And then, you can dial it in from there, get more comfortable. But yeah, the stuff's gotta be on point to win.
Sweet. Definitely has to be on point, especially when you're dealing with tenths and thousands of a second versus guys that are equally competitive as you. Awesome, man. I think that the Xray collaboration has been successful. Are Xray happy with your first 2 races? Like, have you heard from Xray Europe yet?
A little bit, not yet. I think we're gonna try to kind of have a download, like a specific download after NSX, and kind of get into new things. But yeah, I've been talking with Drew RC America a lot, and he's been kind of keeping me in the loop and everything, and vice versa. So no, it's been an awesome start. It's gonna take everyone a little bit of time to kind of figure each other out and see how things like to be done, on my end, and then from their end as well. So it's gonna take a little bit of time, but yeah, the first month has been great.
Awesome, man. Like I said, I've seen you in person. You seem a little bit more. I know you're stressed because you wanted to do well at these races, but you kind of relaxed. You found your pace. You fucking killed it at SIC. And I think it was very impressive to come out with your brand new car, first time, not even much time on it, and just pick up where you left off. You've been in races, so congratulations on that. NSX will be good. You get some more tests. I think as you get better, more time under your belt, you're just going to discover either how much you like this car or what needs to be done. And I think Xray is going to be there to provide you with what you need. And we're also looking at a brand that longevity is big with them. So you look at Coelho. Coelho was there for 10 years.
Yeah.
Hagberg's been there for longer. Ronald Falk just joined them. He's trying to be there for a long time as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out for you. But I think the RC world is very happy to see you doing well, and just something different. Something different for us, something different for you, which adds up and change. It's good. All right, let's talk about something that else that you got going on, which is these 10-minute pit stops with your ultimate racing Dakotah Phend engine, dude. So I think like you have a cheat code now. Not only are you fast, like you are unbelievably fast. You was hard to beat when you wasn't doing this, but you're getting 10-minute pit stops every race. Like there's no doubt that you're gonna get it. You play like, oh, we might not get it this time, but you're gonna get it every time. You said at fall, I think, where was it? AMS, you said you could go 11:40. I witnessed this at this race here. It was a 30-minute main. And I remember after AMS, I was having a few drinks. It was like Drake was there. We was watching all the younger guys drinking. And I was talking to Mayfield. I said, dude, how the fuck does this guy get 11:40 and you guys struggle to do 10? Like, what's going on? And Mayfield goes, it's the drivetrain, man. It's the drivetrain. I was like, come on. But what we are seeing, before it used to be Drake that got 10 minutes, but now we're seeing more and more people getting 10 minutes, even at all levels. I've seen a guy do 10 minutes with your engine in the sportsman class, no problem. I see guys in intermediate doing 10 minutes. Dude, that engine's good. It gets great mileage, and it doesn't seem to have to run very lean. You can adjust your mileage. You're comfortable with it. If like all these other engine manufacturers don't get guaranteed 10-minute engines by the end of this year, they're in trouble, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. The guys at Ultimate, they're awesome people, and they know what they're doing. So they've they somehow keep reinventing the wheel, so to speak, and everything that I get from them is better and better every time. So I don't I don't know how they're able to make it happen, but I do know it's a lot of everything, right? So it's not it's not just, throw this engine in and have whatever tune you want and whatever this, whatever that, and it'll work out. But it's the engine gets really good mileage, it's very efficient. And the thing everyone knows with this engine is you can run it leaner and it not like act like it's leaner, so to speak. So it doesn't run on. It doesn't really overheat at all. So that's another big thing, the overheating. You'll start to kind of feel a bog on the bottom and get slower and slower and lose power. Doesn't really do that. Like it really doesn't mind getting abused. Like you can kind of tune it however you want to. And like I said, it doesn't run on. It doesn't get too hot or anything. I've never really had issues with the plugs, blowing plugs or anything running. I mean, obviously I am running the stuff pretty lean, but I really haven't had any issues. You have the occasional thing here and there, but yeah, as a whole, I haven't really had any problems, and it's been a very solid addition, to the program in the last few years. And the progress, I mean, really hasn't been, I think I've been there, this will be my 4th year. So it really hasn't been that long in the large scheme of things. And the progress made has been exponential. So that's been awesome to see. But like I said, it's a little bit of everything. You get an extra minute from the engine, you get 15 seconds from the pipe and 20 seconds from the fuel, and obviously you do have to have a free drivetrain. The car's got to be free. You can't be bound up. You got to have the clutch dialed in, how you drive, the tune, like everything has to be on point. But yeah, the mileage has been very consistently high, and it's probably higher than people are aware or think it is. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped on that and excited. The tracks do make a big difference as well. So you'll see you can run the same track, like even at SIC, like the mileage difference from Friday to Saturday, Sunday, it does change, and it can change pretty drastically. So I'm usually pretty on top of making sure we're getting time, so I can get an average and see if the mileage is steadily declining or increasing or what that may be. But even different tracks, like you go to Worlds and and doing the 840 stop is dropping a stop over, on people doing 730. So the tracks do make a big difference, but consistently dropping a stop is, you're gaining. It wasn't as much at SIC just because you have the jump section too. So, the stop is, you say 5-6 seconds, but you're doing the double in the front. So you're probably really probably not gaining that much time, but the track position is what really gets you. I think we were talking about the Truggy main, you see the gap so often, like the pit stop cycle through and the gap will go from 4 seconds to 8 seconds in the matter of a minute and a half. It completely changes the dynamic of the race when you're able to break the toe on the other guys and do laps, and they can't see if the gap's really changing. So that's really important as well. When everyone comes in at the 7:30 mark or 8-minute mark, whatever it is, you got 2 minutes of clean air. Like, you got to make it count. You got to do clean laps. You got to be going fast and kind of really put the hammer down. And it's given me the ability up until that 8-minute mark, I can see what the pace is. I don't have to do anything crazy. My risk can go way down because I know I have that advantage. And the mistakes that I used to make early on in the race are, I think, a lot less now, especially in the beginning, because I can kind of just chill with everyone else and take my time. And then those 2 minutes, I can kind of go, all right, I'm going to go a little bit, hopefully kind of expand it out a couple more seconds. And then, you kind of just keep doing that as the race goes on. It does get a little bit harder to like kind of manage what the gap actually is, because you get so spread out when you're doing the stops like that. The first stop, it's only, 2.5 minutes difference, but next stop, it's 5 minutes difference. If it's a longer race, next stop, it's 7.5 minute difference. Like, you actually, you when you drop a stop, if the race is long enough, our final, you actually would overlap, once or twice with everyone else on pits. So it's a little bit harder to manage, but that's kind of where you have to have a pit guy that and trust and can, keep an eye on things.
Cheeky, so is Cheeky going to be your pit guy from here on out, or are we going to see the Nelson return?
Yeah, still trying to kind of figure things out like that. Chiggy's going to be at most of the 8 scale races, doing helping with the setup and the mechanics and all that. And he did a great job at SIC. Me and Dylan have a great relationship. I'd love to continue that. Just kind of still trying to figure out the logistics of that.
Got you. It all costs money, right? That's what it costs. Money and time. I got to ask this question because we've said it many times on this podcast that you kind of at Xray, you do what Hootie says. Everybody kind of falls in line. No surprise. We saw Desmond go from Desmond went from OS to FX engines more because OS kind of wasn't paying them. We saw the Runafalk go from Corsa to FX engines. We see Runafalk he doesn't have a tire brand. And these are all important. I think get this. This is all important for your program because you make money off your engine program. You make money off your tire program. So I guess my question is, do you think we'll see something like that happen for you at some point with Xray? And I guess that's a bridge you have to cross if it does come.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know 100%. Like you said, it's kind of gonna be a bridge I cross. When and if I have to cross it. Obviously, I have a lot of confidence in my current program, and yeah, we'll just we'll see what happens in the future. They were, they've been pretty easy to work with on my end. Like I said, once we started kind of having the conversations and doing the negotiation between me and them, it went pretty smoothly. So hopefully that continues. And yeah, I'm not honestly 100% sure on that.
Okay. Any thoughts on maybe doing a little bit of on-road with them? I know you don't have much time, but I know the on-road guys might. I always like to see the crossover. I like to see off-road guys go over and try some on-road and see how they do.
For sure. It's been very lately talked about. I think the opportunity is there in the future if I want. But it would be a little bit just because, off-road is the focus of mine and the focus that they want me to have right now. So I got to get that kind of dialed in and figured out and get comfortable with that and settled and stuff. And then maybe once that happens, maybe later on, more towards the end of the year, next year, or who knows exactly what it is, but not anytime soon. I do think it would be fun. I've talked about it in the past, the it's always just been the time side of things. Like I don't want to go to a nationals or worlds or whatever it may be and show up and suck. Like
Yep.
if I'm gonna go to a race, like I'm going to compete for the win. My goal is to win. So I need to have some time for that to happen, and we don't have that time right now. But
Mhm.
yeah, I for sure I would be interested to do it. I'd love to kind of to dabble in that when I have a little bit more time. And obviously the whole Xray crew has a lot of experience with the on-road side of things and knows what they're doing. So that's kind of what I would need. I would need someone just to kind of be like, here you go, here's a car, go drive, and we'll tell you what it needs because I have no idea. Yeah,
She can do that for you. We're gonna talk a little bit about Worlds future, and then I'm gonna let you go. I don't want to keep you too long. Worlds, dude, 2024 Spain, LCQ, like deja vu for you in the LCQ. I remember it was about a few laps to go, maybe about a minute and a half to go. We had 2 laps, 3 laps, maybe left. I can't remember. And I'm watching this race, and Nick's watching. And I'm like, Fend's coming. Like Hotman wasn't. If you guys haven't seen this, go to RC Racing TV. Go look at the LCQ. Probably one of the best races you're ever going to see. Best comeback. It was Hotman. It was Rivkin, and then you was like, I think you even started last, if I'm not sure. I can't remember. He was very far in the back of the pack, very similar to 2022. It was kind of very heartbreaking mood. I kind of wanted Hotman to win, but you drove so well because he led that race for such a long time. But I saw you, and I was like, I said, Nick, I think Fend's going to catch this. And it's like, no, it's not possible. He can't do it. I don't know what you did, dude, but it's like you just went into the next, a different level of, I don't know if you went to some Zen level, like you was at a different level with your car than ever before. But what I saw you do in that LCQ and come, because you was very far behind, you had to go through a very, very solid, fast Rivkin who was chasing down Cotton, who was out front to make that, to get that win and bump up to the A final at the Worlds. But dude, like, what was you thinking? Was it just like, I gotta go? Like, I don't know. Like, you drove amazingly.
That was one of my moments where I was pretty pissed, kind of at the whole situation because
Okay.
2022 actually went pretty well in qualifying, and then obviously I ended up in the LCQ and was able to actually get up there in the main and fight for a podium spot for a lot of the race. So going into 2024, it's like we had some more time and you knew what to expect. Like this is going to be great. We struggled a little bit more in qualifying, but kind of still getting top 10 runs and stuff, and was going pretty good in the semi. And I actually had something I haven't had happen before. So obviously I flamed out, and technically I did run out of gas, but it was not really the engine or the pit crew or anything like that. So we kind of figured out later on, because there's fuel everywhere, all over the carburetor, all over the engine, like just absolutely everywhere. But the tank had pressurized. I don't really know 100% why. But the tank had pressurized and actually opened. So the fuel was just slowly coming out, and just going everywhere. So I ran out because of that.
Okay.
So I was pretty upset about that because, like I said, I was in a decent position in the semi, battling for a top 3, and that happened. So yeah, I started. I don't remember if I started last, but I was one of the last 3 cars. I'm pretty sure going into the LCQ, and I actually got through the first lap cleanly, and was maybe like half, like in mid pack or something, which I was totally okay with. And then I got creamed pretty good and went all the way back to last again. And I was like, man, like starting last versus being last after the first lap is a very big difference. And I was pretty frustrated after that. Like that's a lot of cars you got to go through, and that's a lot of things that have to go right at that point. I don't know exactly what the time frame was, but I'm sure it was probably over 10 seconds. So I was not super optimistic that this was going to be feasible. But yeah, I just put my head down. We went a little bit longer to kind of get some clean air and stuff, and I was able to come to the pits a few minutes later, pass quite a few guys with that, and get into a decent position, and then just kind of slowly started picking people off lap by lap. And yeah, we got probably like 2-3 minutes to go, and I was in third, and Spencer was driving really good, and we were kind of like stalled out a little bit, not really catching Una. And yeah, that last lap was crazy.
Amazing.
Spencer made a mistake and he got by, and I'm like, okay, like I gotta go. I got nothing to lose. Like this is the second chance, so we go for broke or we fly off the track. Like we don't really have much of an option here. And yeah, he made a small mistake and was able to kind of squeak by the next corner. And I was pretty shocked, honestly, at that moment. Like, pretty much like there's no way this is happening, especially again, 2 years in a row. Like this isn't happening. But I got by and I'm like, all right, if you crash now, like this is gonna be rough. Like, do not do that. So I actually had a really solid last lap. Ended up being like really clean. I don't know, like lap time wise, if it was my fastest lap or whatever, but it was a very good last lap.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was pretty shocked. Like, was not I was hoping, but like I said, after that first or second lap, I was not thinking that was going to be the option.
Amazing. It was amazing, man. Amazing performance, man. Proves why you're considered one of the best in the world at that. What did you think about that? Like there was a whole bunch of discussion about the European tracks, and that track was very similar. Layout wasn't that much change, but it was different. Traction, the surface was different. Much more high traction this year, threw people for a loop. Obviously, we had tire gate halfway through there, which I think was a well-played move by Matrix to shake everybody up. The Europeans are coming over to America. We're seeing Juan Carlos Ganassi won 2 big races last year, so he's getting fat. Like these guys are here. Hopefully, from the European brand, we'll get to see you over in Europe. I know we have the e-buggy World Championships coming up in Portugal this year, so somebody's going to want to be the first e-buggy World Champion. We have the 10 scale Worlds in Australia, outdoor dirt. You excited for that?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. I had a lot of fun, and we did the 8 scale Worlds in Perth. Was a very, very cool experience. Very long trip, but cool experience. And then me and Chloe actually stayed after. We flew back to Sydney and stayed in Sydney for, I think, about a week or so, and then went to New Zealand. But yeah, Sydney, that whole area was super, super cool, super awesome. Really cool people. So yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be, interesting. We're going to have to get some running and get some testing in and get some feedback as far as the track conditions, because I couldn't tell you the last time I've run 10 skill outside, but yeah, it looked like, I know Spencer went over last year for I think it was like the Australian Nationals, and it looked like a really fun track. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I hope to get there myself. I would love to go to Australia. I love to go to 10 scale Worlds. I love World Championships. They're awesome. Yeah. Never been to one. 8 scale Worlds in 2026. The rumors are Thornhill's going to have it. That's what I'm being told. So that should be exciting for you too. How old are you now? 20?
I'll be 28 next month.
So you still got a lot of time left in your RC career,
Yeah.
Lots of time. You've just been doing this for so long.
So. I know.
You've just been doing this for so long. Should be good, man. You're revigorated, revigorating. Yeah. Your change is good, and it seems to have done really good for you. I think your competitors should be a little worried, to be honest, right now. Like I had this whole video planned about you. If you'd have swept, like won every race at the Clash, I had this video planned, but you did it. You didn't win full drive. You didn't win the Clash. So, but I mean, you made up for it at SIC. Yeah. You swept there. I think you just put like the RC world on notice. Hey, I'm Dakotah Phend. I'm in for a race team that actually gives a fuck. Now, I like it. I'm comfortable, and this is what I'm doing. If any a little bit of time on the car, so you guys are in trouble once I get this all sorted out. And I got 10 minutes pit stops in my back pocket, no problem. The RC world, the guys are gonna have to step up. They are, but they're gonna have to get that pit going, that fuel mileage going as well.
Yeah, the
interesting times.
Level just keeps getting raised higher and higher.
Level.
Someone makes a step, and then everyone else goes, all right, let's go. And then they make that step, and someone else makes a step, and it's we're getting a pretty high levels here at this point in the industry. Huh?
Yeah.
Like I said in the past, you could kind of just go out there and drive, and car setup wasn't the end of the world, but you got to have everything's got to be really good. Like you got to have the car setup dialed in, the tires, the the engine program, the pit crew, your driving, like everything's got to be pretty close to 100%.
Well, what I've noticed over the last few years is that even on the driver side of things, you guys are much more available to people to talk to them. So the companies and everybody are letting you guys be yourselves. You're able to say what you kind of, obviously to an extent, you can't go out there and go completely off the handle. So allowing a little bit of drama, which is great because people love that. Obviously, people like me, but it makes it exciting for a race event. And I think what we're seeing with you drivers is, I've been saying this for quite some time. I think we're going to start seeing you guys start doing more physical things to make yourself better, eye-hand coordination stuff. We're already hearing about guys eating better. Who was I talking to the other day? Said like, yeah, I don't do this during a race. Try to focus. Lutz was telling me about that as he got older. I mean, you're still young, but as he got older, he's focusing on diet so he can focus more. That was their problem. I said, qualifying is fine. It's the long mains where I'm losing focus. And it's obviously working. I mean, he TQ'd and he came second. Yep. So he had a great weekend. So I think as the industry and everything it's slowly becoming more professional. We've always said we have professional drivers, but we're not utilizing them in a professional way. But the industry is starting to change, which is great. Because, we all want this industry to grow. The more people getting into RC, the better it is for everybody.
Yeah, 100%.
You, me, everybody that races RC cars. Nothing changes. I know some people are worried about RC getting too big and it changing. The only thing is, I actually have to quote JQ on this. He says, "A rising tide raises all ships." So it's something. What do you think about that? Like, what do you think about the future of RC after your experience with? We're going to close out here. Your experience with TLR and what you went through just now. There are lots of companies that we're probably going to start seeing slowing down because the 8-scale chassis market is flooded with chassis. There can only be a few that are successful. How's your outlook right now? I know you're fine with your racing program and stuff, but it's the industry in whole. I mean, maybe what do you think about it? What would you like to see change here over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think like on a professional level, it's definitely been changing a little bit. Kind of what's expected of us. It used to be just like I said, just you drive your car and help develop and test and do that. But now we're going to more races. We're doing way more social media than we did. Facebook Lives, podcasts, interviews. We're posting a lot more. Pictures and race reports. People are pretty much doing like daily race reports now instead of a week after that and kind of just whatever. You see a lot more engagement with, other people who are on the team, people who just drive the cars. So it's definitely changing. That's becoming, really kind of the world is becoming a lot more socially active. So it makes sense that this is the way the industry is going as well. And just kind of having to adapt with that. And as far as like the actual racing scene goes in general, there's ups and downs. I feel like we've been on a rise pretty much since COVID. I know everything with COVID, like the sales of RC went up a ton. So I think it's kind of tapering out a little bit right now. And I don't think that we're in a bad place by any means, but yeah, I think just capitalizing on other companies kind of, stepping out a little bit and just continuing to grow, getting into the hobby shop is really important and getting those key drivers at different tracks and stuff for local and trackside support and just using and utilizing everyone, that you have available on the team and stuff to be like, as efficient as possible and just make the right decisions. I think that RC does have the ability to grow bigger. I think we're still not quite there. We need to continue to grow, getting more social at the events and stuff and
think bigger too.
Yeah, Ali and yourself have been doing a great job to continuing to expand that. And the manufacturers are starting to as well. So I think we still have some progress to make before you really have the ability to like make it big, so to speak. But I definitely think that there's potential there. We're just gonna have to kind of figure out the week-long races and figuring out a little bit more organization with the events and the sanctioning bodies and stuff, because it's definitely a mess right now, and doesn't seem like there's really much direction. It's just there's individual events and everyone has a different idea of what they want to do, and there's really no organization, even from your standpoint. So that's probably a topic for another day, because we could go down the rabbit hole with that. But
we could go. But
yeah,
I would agree with you. I think racing on a major scale is good. I mean, obviously, we just had SIC. It probably had a little less interest, but we also had snow in Alabama, right? And people got snowed in, so that affected things. We're seeing like the Clash had I hate to say interest, but a bunch of people, big 10 scale race right out of the year. I think on the racing side of things, we're good. Attrition will take care of those companies that can hang, because you can't, not everybody can have a chassis, but yeah, I would agree. I think we need to start treating RC bigger. And if we treat it big and fake it till we make it, others will take it bigger. Mm-hmm. So lots of things, but I definitely love the RC is like a big super tanker. When it makes a decision to make a turn, it has to make a decision, then it has to plot a course, and then it takes 3 days to turn because it's so big. I'm just using the not that it's big, but the term to make that turn. I think we made the decision to turn. I think we put the coordinates in, and we just starting to turn that super tanker. It's still going to take us 3 days to turn it around.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're at in RC. I'm very happy to see it. Obviously, people like yourself, and a lot of these drivers, very open to talking to them at these races as I've gone. It's definitely improved quite a lot. And kudos to you guys, because I know it's not always easy to be out there talking to people when you're frustrated and money's going out of your pocket, because that's what's happening with you guys at these races when you're not doing well. Family, we're going to finish up on that. You got a son coming. Congratulations. You'll be a father. How does that affect your career? I mean, you travel quite a lot. You do 10 scale and 8 scale. I know you're going to have to take some time. Luckily, your Chloe knows RC, been involved in this. She understands this is your job. You have a benefit right there. But yeah, it's going to come to a point where you're going to be like, all right, I want to be here with my son.
Yeah, I think honestly it motivates me. Like I mentioned previously, like I think all this happened for a reason, especially the timing of it. I think that it was, to put myself and my family in a better position for the future, and for him. So yeah, I'm motivated. I've been changing a lot in my personal life as well, trying to get to the point where I can give him the best chance at a successful and fantastic life. So I think it motivates me. I've always been pretty good with pressure, I feel like, and when it matters. So I don't think that's gonna affect me too much. It's obviously going to be a very, very big change. It's going to take me a little bit to kind of get adapted to that. But yeah, I'm racing for more than just me now, pretty much. So I'm racing to give him a good chance at life and to have fun and do the things that he wants to do in the future. So, whatever that may be, hopefully it's car related, but yeah, whatever he wants to do, like I want to, we both want to give him the chance and the ability to be able to do that. So I'm going to use it as a motivator when I'm at the races. And, if I'm going to be away from my family, then it's not going to be to go out there and get third place. Like it's going to be to go win.
Right.
And, be as successful as I can be, from that standpoint, and to, make a living and be able to support them. So yeah, I have definitely going to change my outlook a little bit. I'll take a little bit of time off, couple races, just kind of depending on, when he comes and stuff, but then we'll get back in the swing of things and, be back at the race.
What if he wants to be an RC racer? What would you tell him?
Yeah. I mean, that'll be, a little ways down the road, 5-6 years. I started when I was 5. So I have a little bit of time for that. But yeah, obviously I know the industry and stuff. And like I said, my family, my wife's family, like we're all into cars. We all enjoy the racing scene. So, I think we'd be pretty happy with anything involving racing and vehicles.
Awesome, man. Awesome times, man. Great times. Well, I want to say thank you for your time. I know it's been a very hectic month. Congratulations once again on your very great performances at your 2 first races. Congratulations on your new position here at Xray. I'm very happy for you in a sense, because we get to see you racing. We get to see you racing on something different. Mm-hmm. And I get it. Like, I get it how it feels to be like in that position that you was at. Like, and I, not, just kind of on the bubble of not knowing if you're gonna have a job, if you're not gonna have a job, putting in all this hard work, and you're like, I think people need to step back and kind of. A lot of people, I feel, that don't work in this industry kind of can't fathom that this is still a job and a way you provide for your family. Even for me, obviously you're on a different spectrum. You're a racer. I do this, but every year you got to go out there and find that money, find those sponsorships, do that type of stuff, and that gets stressful. And companies are tightening up the belts. So, congratulations! I think you found a good home at Xray.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing how that goes. Good luck to you and Chloe on the birth of your son. And man, I think it's good to see you happy, excited, and rejuvenated in RC. And dude, I think these guys are in trouble. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Cool. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, I'm excited to continue on this path and see how this year goes and what happens. Like I said, we have a lot of change coming, and I'm not a huge change guy, but we're getting it all done right now. And yeah, I'm excited. I really am. So thank you for having me on.
Should be. Thank you for your time, man. Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you, Dakotah, for your time. It was a great chat with you, sir. We wish you all the best. And I think that the RC world is in store for some awesome racing now that you're with a new team and they're all about racing. And I'm very excited to see what this man does this year and going into 2026. Let us know in the comments what you think Phend's going to do. We hope you guys did enjoy that podcast. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit that sub, like, and notification button down there to help promote promote everything here and grow our YouTube channel. It helps everything. Trust me when I tell you this. We greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to share as well. And if you want to check out some more stuff, go to our social media. We got a pretty good Instagram following. Every time I go to a race, I'm getting some good laps of drivers there. I know not many. YouTube, obviously. Facebook. I don't know about TikTok. I don't even know what's going on TikTok. I've been so oblivious to what's going on in the world. Is TikTok banned yet or not in America? But in the rest of the world, it isn't. So I don't know. With that said, next in another podcast or two, we'll have Max back in her. Hopefully when JQ comes back from his motocrossing, we'll have him in her as well, answering some of your questions. I would like to have JQ on her at least 4 times a year so we can have a good old row. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. But thank you all for the support. Thank you. Big shout out to the patrons and YouTube members of the No Name RC podcast. And a big shout out to the NNR squad around the world. And a big shout out to our sponsors. They are J Concepts, High Tech RC, Sidewinder Fuels, Laterra Racing, Invisible Speed, ML Toys, Side Piece Racing, Hot Race Tires, Elite RC Productions, RC Project, Mayako, Techno RC, Beach RC, Racecraft USA. And also Clinic RC. A big shout out to our drivers, David Runafalk, Robert Battier, Alexander Hagberg, Matty G, Pecco Evening, Una Hotton, and Mason Fuller. Nitro is the glory, E-Buggy pays the bills, and Lefty is out. I'll see you guys in show 207. Ta-ta for now.